Asterisk, what happens when a late-night host known for playful chaos sits across from a prince who seems to have forgotten how to laugh? The audience of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen expected cheeky games, harmless gossip, maybe a royal anecdote or two. Instead, they witnessed something else, an interview that slowly twisted into a contest of ego. A host trying to keep his show from slipping out of his hands, and a guest who looked ready to drag the whole set down with him. By the time the cameras stopped, it was obvious this wasn't a typical celebrity chat. It was the night Andy Cohen asked a prince to leave his stage. Asterisk. The clubhouse set glowed with neon signs reflecting off shelves packed with books, liquor bottles, and odd trinkets from a decade of celebrity visits. A giant AC marquee flickered under the monitor showing the show's logo, while a fully decorated Christmas tree shimmered to the right, its lights casting warm reflections across the room. The audience sat close, cocktails in hand, laughing from the pre-show warm-up. The striped carpet looked like someone spilled a rainbow and decided it worked. The whole space felt intimate, cluttered, and unmistakably Andy Cohen took his place in the familiar slate blue chair. Question cards in hand, his trademark mischievous half-smile tugging at his mouth. Tonight, though, he seemed a little more alert than usual, shoulders squared in a sharper suit. This guest wasn't a Bravo star or a gossipy actor. It was Prince Harry, or former Prince Harry, depending on the latest headline. Asterisk, Harry sat opposite him in a navy suit, open collar shirt, ankle crossed over his knee in a casual pose that didn't match the tension in his jaw. His eyes moved across the neon decor as though grading it, unimpressed. Asterisk, Andy turned to the camera, smile widening. Welcome back, you guys. We've had a lot of guests in this clubhouse, but I don't think we've ever had someone whose grandmother's face was on money. Asterisk, laughter rippled. Please welcome Prince Harry. Asterisk, applause erupted, some excited, some stunned. Harry lifted a stiff half-wave, his smile not touching his eyes. Asterisk, Harry. Thank you for being here, Andy said warmly. Asterisk, Harry nodded once. Well, I thought it was time someone brought a bit of class to late-night television. Asterisk, some laughed, unsure. Andy raised his brows for a beat, then chuckled. I'll take that as a compliment. I think the curiosity in the room sharpened. Andy continued. You've done very serious interviews lately, Oprah, Netflix documentaries. What made you say yes to this madhouse? Asterisk, Harry shifted. People think they know me because of those interviews. I thought it might be interesting to remind them I'm not just a soundbite in someone else's production. Here, you're a soundbite on my messy Bravo show, Andy said. Harry smirked. At least here, expectations are low. Laughter came, but thinner now. Andy tried to regain ease. So, California life. How different is it from the palace? Asterisk, in California, Harry said. When people ask how you are, they don't expect a lie. Already an improvement. Hum of interest moved across the room. Andy pushed carefully. You don't miss anything? The pageantry? The sense of duty? Asterisk, duty is a pretty word for control, Harry replied. It makes captivity sound noble. A beat of silence. Andy tried to keep the conversation grounded. Some people say those balcony moments, those trooping the color images, they love them because they saw your mother. Asterisk, annoyance shot across Harry's face. There it is. Took longer than I expected. Harry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. People want empathy until it becomes inconvenient, Harry cut in. What they actually want is access. A piece of grief to take home and pass around. Asterisk. The audience quieted. Andy lifted a hand, calm but firm. But you've shared about her publicly your book interviews. Isn't that a form of access? Asterisk, when I talk about my mother. That's my story, Harry said sharply. When you bring her up between cocktails and commercial breaks, you turn her into content. The room froze. This is a show, Andy said. Everything we discuss becomes content. Which is exactly why I don't owe it anything, Harry said coolly. Andy pressed his lips together. Somewhere behind the cameras, producers gestured wildly. Asterisk, trying again, Andy shifted subjects. Harry, how's life with Meghan? People have strong opinions. Asterisk, people having opinions about my wife is not a personality trait, Harry snapped. but they behave like it is. Asterisk Andy pushed gently. Some say you both put your story out there. Asterisk our version, Harry said. Funny how people prefer the palace-approved one. Asterisk Andy switched tones, searching for levity. Reality TV? Housewives? Anything? Asterisk Harry didn't bite. Reality TV is just the palace without titles. People performing dysfunction for viewers who pretend they're better than it. Laughter died instantly. Andy blinked. So, that's a no on Housewives? Asterisk Harry shrugged. I already lived with people backstabbing each other in designer clothing. I don't need to watch it again. The tension in the room grew heavy, thick. Andy took a calculated risk. Do you ever worry that leaving the monarchy meant stepping onto another stage, Hollywood media deals? Asterisk Harry leaned back. The difference is now I choose the stage. And you chose this one tonight? Andy said. I chose it because I expected something refreshing, Harry replied. I didn't know we'd be dressing tabloid questions in glitter. Asterisk the audience gasped lightly. Andy's jaw tightened. The show cut to commercial. Asterisk during the break, nobody relaxed. Producers talked in frantic whispers. The control room's voices buzzed through Andy's earpiece. Harry sat still as stone. Asterisk the cameras came back to applause that sounded more like concern than excitement. Andy straightened. Viewer questions now. Asterisk a question from Brooklyn. Do you feel you've accepted no longer being a working royal? Asterisk Harry gave a thin smile. The question itself shows how little people understand how deeply the role was carved into me. Asterisk, but have you accepted it? Andy asked. I've survived it, Harry replied. Andy nodded, processing. Didn't you still choose to leave? Asterisk, do you truly believe leaving was optional? Harry challenged. A soft stir ran through the audience. Next question from Chicago. Why keep talking about your family if you want distance? Because silence never protected me, Harry said. Speaking hasn't either. Andy countered. It's shown who was never on my side, Harry said. Andy watched him carefully now. The way a driver watches the road while skidding on ice? Asterisk another question. Do you regret how public everything became? Asterisk Harry hesitated. Regret is a luxury for people whose voices remain intact. Mine was being chipped away. Asterisk, and what about those who feel hurt? Your father, your brother? Andy pressed. Asterisk, they made their decisions, Harry replied. Just like I made mine. You don't sound at peace, Andy said quietly. And you don't sound neutral, Harry returned. A ripple of discomfort moved across the room. Andy leaned in. Harry, what part of your mother do you see in yourself now? Asterisk Harry's expression shut down. The part that couldn't survive that world. Asterisk Andy tried gently. She wanted to protect you. Would she approve of Asterisk? Harry cut him off sharply. You don't get to speculate about what my mother would think. Not here. Not ever. Asterisk Andy froze. The room froze with him. For a moment, the show teetered on the edge. Then, unexpectedly, Andy set the cards aside. You know what, Harry? Let's drop the pretense. You're clearly not here to talk. You're here to fight the air. Asterisk Harry bristled. I'm here to reject bad questions. Asterisk, you're rejecting the room, Andy said calmly. And the room is rejecting you back. Gasps echoed. Harry leaned forward. Are you asking me to leave? Andy held his gaze for a long second. I'm saying, he replied evenly, that if you don't want to participate in the show, you agreed to come on, then yes, you're free to go. The studio fell silent. Harry's jaw clenched. For a moment it looked like he would stand. Instead, he slowly uncrossed his legs, placed his palms together, and stared at the floor with a tight, unreadable expression. Then he rose. The audience didn't clap. They didn't boo. They simply watched as the prince walked off camera, the Christmas lights flickering across his back as he disappeared behind the curtain. Asterisk Andy exhaled, long and controlled, then looked directly into the lens. Asterisk, well, he said softly, that was something. The audience finally let out a breath. the show cut to its final commercial. But the conversation inside that candy-colored clubhouse would be talked about far longer than any cocktail-fueled gossip segment. Asterisk. It was the night a prince walked off Watch What Happens live and the night Andy Cohen let him